In this video, we are discussing the field strength lab. The field strength you are going to be measuring is going to be sound level. You can think of the volume of a sound as the intensity level of that sound reaching your ears. And that intensity level is what we are going to be measuring. For this lab, you are going to need a sound sensor. There are many apps that can turn your phone or smart device into a sound sensor. You may already have one. We have some recommendations. And you're going to need some source, preferably a singular speaker making some pure sound, such as playing a function generator, playing a single tone, something like that. You are going to be measuring that sound level as a function of how far away you are from the source. A couple things to keep in mind as you are doing these measurements. The first is that that distance is going to be very important. In a perfect world, you would be doing this with a meter stick, with a tape measure, something to precisely measure that distance. But this can be done with any object of known length. Standard paper in the United States is 8.5 by 11. So you could do it in 4-inch increments, 8-inch increments, and then convert into metric because that's how we do science. Next, where you are doing this measurement is going to be very important. As you can imagine, if you've ever been in an echoey room, having the sound source immediately next to a wall versus in the middle of an empty room could make things sound very differently, especially as you're moving away. It's not hard to imagine a situation where at some distance away, you're now behind the couch. And that couch is going to affect that sound. So ideally, you would like this in as open, and if not open, as straight of an open environment as possible. A perfect world, you would do this in the middle of a gym or out in a field, but doing this down a hallway will work. The last thing to remember as you are doing this analysis, we are going to be talking about intensity. Sound intensity and sound level are not the same thing. Sound level is calculated in decibels, which uses a logarithmic system. We don't want a logarithmic system when we are doing our analysis. So you will need to convert sound levels into intensity levels. To explain why you would need to do that, most human senses work on a logarithmic scale, meaning for an object to seem twice as loud, it needs to have 10 times the amount of intensity. So we use systems like decibel because that's how our body naturally measures things. Computers, sound level meters, and instruments don't do that. So they use intensity instead of sound level. So you will need to make those conversions for your analysis. The other thing that's very important in this lab is how you are going to be fitting your data. If you've done Logger Pro things before and you have fit data, you've probably used the pre-generated fits. For this lab, you're going to make a custom fit with new fitting parameters that are going to match what our experiment needs as opposed to what Logger Pro guesses you would probably want.